All right, I'm in the hot seat. You know it, you love it. Your Guitar Sage YouTube channel, sitting here, right here from wonderful Franklin, Tennessee, otherwise known as Nashville. Do we want to give it away too much? Do we want people to find us? We want you to find us here. We're glad you're here with us. It's going to be a fun hour talking about lots and lots of good stuff, particularly the new course that we've put out called Blues Rhythm by Yourself for both electric and acoustic. It'll work for both. Have you hooked an overdrive pedal up to your acoustic? You might. I don't know. Either way, there's lots and lots to be taken from in this course for sure. And I just thought I'd start playing a little bit over one of the tracks. Now, I actually put this lesson on my YouTube channel last week because I wanted a little teaser, a little primer. And immediately, folks started snatching the course up. It was really cool. But what I'm going to do is, since that's fresh on the brain, I'm going to take that groove here, but I just want to say hello to some folks first. But we're going to take that groove, I'm going to teach it, and then we're going to expand on it, because one of the things you got to remember in, a guitar course world that we live in is that, yes, you can play the examples verbatim, but not always is someone there saying, hey, well, you could do this, or you could do that. So I thought, why not jump in and do that with this particular example, talk about some different ways that you could apply this to different styles of music and that sort of thing. That little rhythm thing I was playing at the end, that's what we're going to do. So got some folks I recognize already in the chat. Lots and lots of friends already. This is so cool. Haven't been in this seat for a while, and man, I'm loving the timing too of this course release, because it's right around the holidays. Everybody's geared up maybe to stay in and work on guitar playing a little bit. So all good stuff as far as I can see. Good to have, oh man, folks from all over, of course, all the way from Fargo, North Dakota. Got some folks from Jersey. Of course, I spent some time there in my youth. But also, before we, Davey C said he bought the course yesterday from Chico, California. I've been to Chico. I've played a theater there. Very, very cool little spot. In any case, we're going to talk about not only the course, what I just played there as far as the rhythm goes. I was just kind of jamming before everybody was getting seated virtually, if you will. And Greg Charles says, what's the Takeover talk all about? We're going to talk about my new course called Blues Rhythm by Yourself, and I'm going to take you through one of the lessons in it, and I'm also going to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about for the next hour. One other order of business is the PRS guitar that I'm giving away. We have a PRS SE Paul's guitar. I didn't bring it with me because I got to go to a rehearsal later, and I didn't want to be carting this guitar that's going to be somebody's around back and forth in the car. It's getting cold here too. So left it at home, but there's plenty of picks out there, and of course we have a link that I can share with you guys. You can get extra points for checking out the course, which is all great. So I like to do at least 1 or 2 giveaways a year. It's a good way for me to kind of give back and work with the families and relationships that I have to get you a good guitar out there on the cheap, right? And I want to clear up, just before we go there, there's some folks that were talking about this on my YouTube channel. There's scammers out there who try to use my YouTube profile pic and actually say, you've won, call this WhatsApp number. And if you don't know what WhatsApp is, it's not even worth working on it. But it's an app where they want you to call and they want you to actually pay shipping for the guitar. And I know some other folks out there that have gotten scammed, but that's not going to happen with us. I already took care of all that. So clear any of that up right out of the gate, because that's the world we live in now. We live in a world where people want to take advantage of us anytime they can, unfortunately. But we want to take advantage of some good blues stuff here, particularly blues rock today. I don't cover a lot of blues rock, but I thought this would be a good place to do it. In the course, there's 5 really cool examples of this kind of thing, as well as 25 more examples. So 30 examples together that you can play by yourself. So a lot of folks say, I just want to sit down with my guitar and play. Some folks like rock, some people like jazz, some people like more traditional blues. I cover a bunch of that in the course. So yeah, so some folks are already chiming in. Chris Lucas says he already bought the course. Ormond already bought the course. Awesome. And our good brother Mike is sending out the extremely deep discounts today. That's going to be good for the next few days. Is it Saturday? Is it in, guys? Mm-hmm. Saturday the sale ends. So make sure you grab it. We'll give you plenty of opportunities to do it at a low price for sure. All right. So for what you can really do when you take a hard rock thing like this is you want to think about, can I play dominant seventh chords? Well, in this course, you should already have a pretty good knowledge of what your bar chords are, dominant sevens, major minors, that sort of thing. But mostly I focus on sevenths, ninths, and all of the other ones that kind of go with it, 13, sharp 5, stuff like that. We're going to give you plenty of those in the course. But can we do this in a rock fashion? Well, yeah. So we're playing a blues in D in this case. So my brain immediately goes to like that D7 there. And in the course, what I teach, and I've done this in a bunch of courses, is these little partial shapes of a D7. So for instance, like that D7 contains an F sharp and a C, and those are notes that belong in that chord. And then you can play F sharp and C there, so you kind of invert it. And that all comes from whatever chord helps you visualize that. But when you're thinking about maybe like a 4-piece rock band or a 3-piece rock band, and they have some overdrive on and they want to fill up the space, you don't hear them lots of times going. You might hear this kind of thing. So I said, let's pair up a riff that's, once I realized I did it, it's kind of like Black Dog. So what happens is I'm just kind of coming out of a pentatonic scale, adding a chromatic note, and I'm also throwing those thirds and sevenths from the dominant seventh chord shape. In the track, it's just real simple rock drums and a bass player that's just kind of going. And then I'll play. And that's everything that happens over the one chord for a D blues, because we're thinking about a D blues, D7, G7, A7. And we're implying that by putting in that little partial chord. And what I think about is that's D minor pentatonic pattern 3. And I just kind of walk up to it. And if you've ever tried to play Black Dog, it's very similar to that. So I go A, C, C sharp, D, 5, 3, 4, 5. Then what I do is I play that 5th string open. And that gives me a nice groove there. It kind of connects everything. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's some quintessential pentatonic right there. Now my landing spot for that chord is going to be there. That's my root. But we're going to take that away, and we're going to move it back a half step. And we're going to get you a little half step movement. So it creates this really cool sort of vibe of not just banging out the dominant 7th chord all the time. Now when I do the ending riff here, this is something else I talk about in the course. We're using a sus4 type of sound momentarily can create some really cool movement. So for instance, let's take, have you ever played like an A, and then you do the A sus4. if you took your finger out there and played an A7 sus4, it's the kind of sound you get. And those sus chords always want to resolve. So we can do those anywhere that third can be moved. So the third, for that, F sharp, we're going to move it up a half step. So now we have G and C, 4th string, 3rd string, 5th fret. And that sounds really cool on its own. Right? Cool move you can add. So this is already, we're taking things from the course and already kind of coming up with our own ideas. At any place that you have that, that will work for a dominant 7 chord. Dominant 7 is great because you can always make it a sus4 and still create the dominant 7 sound. Super cool. Okay, so yes, Dave Keltner, you're already ahead of us. It is very Black Dog-esque for sure. And I didn't even realize that once I was writing. I was just like, let's come up with something cool and funky rock in D. So, and don't forget that open 5th string is really, really important. But this is in the course, you're going to see it. Now take the exact same move on the 5th and 4th strings, because now we're moving to the 4 chord, the G7. So from the D, and what we're going to do is just grab the C and E, and then the B flat and the D. And what happens is lots of times in blues, you can kind of imply the pentatonic of the chord that's being played. Not all the time, but we're kind of sneaking that here. Especially those 2 notes right there. And we're kind of breaking the rules a little bit, and we're getting a really cool sort of rock riff. That takes you halfway through the progression. Now for the 5 chord, what I wanted to do was kind of almost outline a triad move with a chromatic note. So I went. And I just follow each chord down. Now I could play almost an arpeggio. Then it starts to sound like, so good. Anyway, we didn't want that. We wanted more. So from the A, C sharp, there's our major 3rd. Chromatic walk up all the way to the 5 of the chord. And that's it. So whether you're a person that likes to play with gain, want to have some fun, by myself, still sounded pretty cool, right? So then you could take that and you could just kind of, let's maybe slow it down a little bit. 3, 4. So I'm always kind of thinking about that progression in my head. That takes a while to get that. I hear from some folks that are like, I just lose my spot, I just lose my way in the 12 bar. So maybe you just kind of take that first part and have fun with that and rehearse that over and over and over again until you're ready to move into playing it over the 4 chord. So those are some tips that I can tell you, but it's just fun because sometimes you're just like, wow, I just want to jump in and play when there's no band, right? You know, that's what you want to do. This whole course will allow you to do that in a number of ways. So I already see somebody asked, is there tab for this? Yeah, there's tab throughout the entire course. Everything is, all these examples are tabbed. I checked them all, and we're right on target with them for sure. Drew said, just purchased the course. Thanks for the discount. And Jeff McErlane joins us, sounding killer as always. Thank you so much, my friend. It's almost like we don't talk. Actually, we talk like every day, and we talk about guitars. Yeah, wonderful guy, wonderful player. Always happy to have him join on a live stream. Yeah, so what we're going to do, I'm going to take a look at you guys, your comments in a moment, but I want to take that same thing, and I want to branch off even more. I think it's going to be really cool to do. Anyway, Charlie says that was fun. You're very welcome. Papa Scott says tabs alone are worth the price. Hey, I mean, I'm inclined to agree with them. Not to mention the tracks. You know, I do all of the tracks myself, you know, so I make sure they're pretty tailor-made for all the example that we have. And RJ Congilio jumps in. Yes, the Congilio movement is upon us. I don't know how to say. I'm not good with the comedy. I have like 1 or 2 jokes a year that actually work. Yeah, RJ family. The GuitarSage family, always look for his wonderful slide courses as well, as I'm sure they'll probably be going on sale. It's the holidays, right? I mean, we'd be silly not to. So yeah, so you want to look for that. And Jason Carter, haven't talked to you in a while. Yeah, thanks, my friend. I hope you do put it on the to-do list. Always great, like I said, to have RJ McErlane. They said I couldn't pull the crowd. What are they saying? Yeah, lots of folks are jumping in. This is great. Really, I'm really excited about this. I say that about every course, obviously. But this is one, you know, after you do YouTube for a while and you start to get a sense of what people really like, it's nice to kind of put it all together in a course because now you have 10 dominant 7th riffs, 10 9th chord focused ones. Oh no, 5. 5 hard rock, blues rock, 5 jazz blues. There's a section with slow. I think there's 3 slow, 2 that have like some altered dominant chords, and then a whole section on turnarounds. So you're gonna have so much to go right there. Awesome. Rory Rongilio, that's it. Thank you, RJ. You know, I can't multitask as well as some people. So yeah, and I'm waiting for the meme with both of our faces to come out at some point. Yeah. Anyway, but I'll never be as cool as RJ, but I can try. And I love when folks are chatting amongst themselves. But let's talk a little bit more and answer questions about the course, answer questions about anything pertaining to what I do, what we do here, what we do together, music in the 21st century, guitar playing, all that kind of stuff. So while you're loading your questions up, you take that same idea. Let's make it funky. Let's take that same idea. Just kind of jamming right there, just kind of first thing that came to me. But I'm using that example as my springboard. So let's try it again. So really fun sort of sparse rhythm there, but not at all our normal rock thing, right? So you could also do that with that kind of feel. Maybe don't play the line. See that? I just put a shuffle to it now, a little SRV kind of approach, and there you go. In addition to that, in the course, I'll show all those little partial things that we do. Maybe we're doing slightly rock. So just mixing it up, but using things that I teach previously in the earlier in the course in that example. All right, so the last thing that we should consider when you're doing that, you'll see also examples where I'm kind of playing more up-tempo swing stuff. All that stuff is going to apply. I just wanted to kind of show you that, like, since you're in this course, you know, you don't have to be intermediate or even late intermediate, early advanced player. I don't even know how to gauge that lots of times. But I think if I'm explaining it like that, then you can have a little less, you know, sort of apprehension when you're into this kind of thing. You could say, man, I'm just going to work on the 7th chords that he has there. I've done them in the intermediate course. I took a lot of those and put them in this course, but with the, you know, assumption that you already know them. All right, so that's an important thing to make sure that you really have a solid grasp of that. But then also listen to any one of the examples in the course. One thing we talked about, I remember when I sat here to film this course, and Eric said, you know, Robbie Calvo mentions in his courses that you should watch the whole course and then pick up like what you want to work on. This course is perfect for that because you can start anywhere you want. You can start in the blues jazz section, you can start in the rock section, and it's all like, you know, each one stands on its own as its own guitar episode, if you will. So I wanted to make sure I said that, but I want to get back to you guys. Looks like you guys are having a nice banter-filled Tuesday morning with me. This is great. Mike, can you scroll to the top? I guess I could do it, right? Oh, look at, they gave me my own, I don't know what they're doing. They gave me my own keyboard. I can't believe they let me do that. Yeah, so huge discount, no brainer is what Rick says. Yeah, man, we love doing this when we launch the course, gets everybody excited about it, puts it in your, you know, your queue of things to work on.
Kids are going nuts for it right now.
Yeah, people are going crazy. This is what people have been asking me for years. Man, we got folks from North Carolina, Little Rock. I know Jason's in Germany. We got Siegfried from Germany. Manchester, UK, love it. Man, we got so many friends, so many familiar faces. This is great. Yeah. Let's see here. Yes, tabs. We have tabs. Good to see everybody that's saying hello to me. All right. Paul, I don't think you missed anything. Some people say they play by themselves too. I don't want this to be anything but a family-orientated show. Oh yeah, there was Mackerlane, there was RJ. I scrolled too far. Thanks, Lisa. You said this is the perfect addition to collection of my courses. Appreciate that. folks are getting RJ's courses, killer. And Jeff kindly says, every Congilio course is easily worth 5 times what you pay for it. I appreciate that. That is really nice. No worries about being late. Ask whatever you like. Christine says, this makes my 4th course by you. Thanks for all the great content. You know what I've noticed, guys, in the studio here, since I've been working with you guys on Udemy, I see a lot more women really getting into the courses, and it's really, really inspiring. I mean, I have conversations, you know, Anne-Marie and all these folks, and it's great to see that women are using Udemy and the courses. We really are happy about it. Marlon says, can't wait to finish your first blues section. I'm close to halfway, but this sounds real good. Awesome, thanks for your time. Yeah, I try to make stuff that's always a natural progression from one to the other. So, you know, I wouldn't say, yeah, you need this course to get this course. I want them to kind of build on each other. And there's always going to be overlap and that sort of thing. You know, without selling other things or pitching other things, I don't care what you guys buy as long as you're working with stuff that you enjoy, that makes you work well. But one of my really popular courses back in the TrueFire days was called 50 Blues Rhythms You Must Know. And I didn't realize it was going to be really popular. When I did it, I just saw a need. So I said, we need an updated version of that with some more interesting rhythms, grooves, tracks, all that kind of stuff. And that's what this is. So if you've ever checked that course out, which is like near 10,000 people who have purchased that course, it's crazy. So hopefully some folks will be into this because it's a natural progression and a more updated version. That's right, Jason Carter pitching it for your friends as a gift. Look at that. Galaxy Gooner, are the pickups in the PRS SE in the giveaway specific to that model or found in other PRS models? They are the TCI pickups in that are, I don't know if they're the exact pickups in the real Paul's guitar, like the American version, because this is the SE, but they sound really good. I'm kind of wish I brought it just so you could hear it, because it's very, very cool. It does this split coil thing really well. I know there's, videos out there about how Paul did that, but they really, really sound good. And I have some videos on my channel where I'm playing the guitar too, so check it out for sure. Oh man, what's this? Greg Charles, lead guitars, what's his typical job on stage when she isn't playing a solo? I always say that there's guitar, not rhythm or lead, because you're playing rhythm 90% of the time. You generally don't see somebody standing there until it's their time to play a solo. If they do, it sounds like a pretty good job that I'm interested in. So, but I actually love playing rhythm. So when I'm in a blues situation or anything, I backed up singers for years, and I'm going to rehearsal after this for a gig where I'm backing up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 singers maybe. It's one guy's show, but he's having a bunch of special guests. So I'm the only guitar player, so I'll have to be doing both jobs. But generally, you're playing a complementary rhythm part, and also something that hoping the bottom doesn't drop out when you play a solo. That's an important thing. And Mark SR says he's got to finish the lead course first, but jumping right into this one. Is that a Blues cube behind me? No, that is a really cool special edition Blues Junior. There we go. Sometimes I think it's a new question and it's one of my regular folks, which is great. I am not in New Jersey. We are in Nashville. Captioning, what does that say? Oh, I lost it. Marlon says purchase as soon as you got the email. If you're late, it's full price. Come on, Jason, don't pull those jokes. Oh, thanks, Anne-Marie. I was just talking about you. Appreciate that. Man, you got a nice Les Paul coming. Very cool. This one is very new to me as well. Am I through with TrueFire? Paul Howe asks. No, they just have to call. That's all I'll say. And Dave Thorson is one of those 10,000 who had that course. That's awesome. 50 Fresh-Faced Blues Licks Corey should be the new title. You are so young on there. That is a really young version of me. That was many years ago. Wow, folks are asking how they like the course. Oh, thanks. I'm glad you saw me play with Joss Stone. That was awesome. I'll play with her whenever she calls. I think you mentioned you're working on new music. Yeah, Galaxy. That is great question. Thanks for asking. So it's kind of new, old music. So listen, you guys hear me play and teach blues all the time. That's what I grew up playing. That's what I love to do. And I haven't done it for a long, long time outside of teaching it, because in Nashville, there's not a whole lot of places to do that. Look, I moved here. I wanted to be the busiest sideman you could imagine. I wanted to be the Mike Campbell to somebody. I wanted to be somebody, when you thought of Bruce Springsteen, you thought of Little Steven, you know. And it's a different time, and those opportunities are not as available as they once were. They are, but to be honest, sometimes it's not worth getting up off the couch for as low as the money is these days. It's crazy. And you got to take that into consideration when you're a working musician. It's like you don't want to be on the road making peanuts and missing opportunities somewhere else. So I have to balance that stuff all the time, and it's a real challenge. So working on music, I said, let me make an EP. I recorded 6 songs, some obscure blues tunes, 1 or 2 you may have heard of before. And I did them sort of my way. I actually just cut vocals for one yesterday, which was really, really fun. And songs from Johnny Guitar Watson, Howlin' Wolf, Bobby Blue Bland, Johnny Copeland, Otis Rush. I'm probably leaving one out. I think I said, it escapes me. But yeah, so I got a 6-song blues record coming out. That's kind of like my version of these songs. People did that all the time and still do. So I was like, let me do it for my first sort of like real blues record. So that's what's happening. Yeah. We got folks from Barbados. Chuck purchased as soon as he got the email. Patrick loved the first 2 courses. Lisa's going to purchase after the show. Yeah, good stuff. You guys are awesome. Appreciate it. So in the course also, I want to talk about a few other things that you'll be seeing. You'll be seeing a really cool section on turnarounds. And when you're doing turnarounds, you can actually build those yourself, kind of with any way you want, really. And you need to think about it in 2 ways. One, the easiest way is to take any 7th chord that doesn't have a root. So let's take this E7 right here. Now the root would be here, 5th string, 7th fret. But we're going to take those 3 notes, B, D, and G sharp. And what you can do is just play those chromatically until you come and approach its neighboring triad. So check this out. E7 without a root. And you can do that anywhere you have a chord like that. Whole section on that, which is going to be really, really fun. Now also, we can take a chord that has a root, like maybe an E triad right here. And what you do is you keep the root note, but you move everything else down chromatically. And then end it with a triad. And that's another cool sort of, blues by yourself thing you can do. Another one right there where you played E triad, kept everything, keep the root there. End on your triad. So we're going to do a whole section on that. We have, like I said, slow blues, 9th chords, but also too like sometimes folks ask me like, man, I just want to play something that doesn't sound like blues. So maybe you take an E ninth chord, Now with that going, what I'll do is I'll just think, okay, how many more seventh chords can I find? Or ninth chords. Right? So then we start putting in things from the blues rock, but that's all in there. Now that was sort of a more improvised version of it, but I definitely hold your hand through all those sections for sure. Yeah. All right, so we got some time. Let's see where else we're at. I think before I start this, I have to go back to learning my chords. Well, if you check out those other two courses, which they're also on sale, right, guys? Our intermediate and beginner course. The intermediate and beginner courses are on sale, and it teaches all of those chords. This one has some new chords, but for the most part, the idea was to bring over what you already know into some stuff where you can play, some cool, some cool rhythms, as opposed to just going. Nothing wrong with that. I can do that too all day, but it's funner or more fun. More like a keyboard player, right? So Fran New says, after a break of almost 10 years, I started again a few months ago, but found fingers and brain lost connection. What would you recommend for an oldie to restart to getting on a new satisfying level? It'd be easy to say start simple, and that's what we should do. But you want to get these two hands talking to each other, for sure. And you want to set goals that are really achievable. Like my beginner blues rhythm course teaches things like, just like this. Right? So it does that kind of stuff. But notice how it was even. I didn't jump around. I didn't start slow, go fast. That is really how you'll make the connection between your hands and your brain and really create music, because that's what we want to do. A lot of folks will pick up the guitar and like, oh yeah, I know E7. And I know A7. Let's see, here we go. Yeah, see, I'm playing the blues. That's not it. We want to make sure it's nice and steady. Keep the groove going, because that's where the musical piece comes into it. It's a pulse. There's advanced sort of avant-garde free time music, but 99% of what you're going to play or listen to is stuck to, I say stuck, it's not a negative, a rhythm that propels the tune and feels good, and that's what we want. Drew says needs help on those turnarounds. We got you covered. And my friend Tennessee Valley Yoga says, I'm glad that musicians have the opportunity to make a better living with the internet, and who are trying to improve our playing are benefiting. It is a mutually beneficial relationship. I've pretty much, for this year, this past year, I was on the plane maybe 3 times. Oh, here's a good one you guys will love. Last Wednesday, playing with an artist I love, and was like, yeah, I'll do these 2 shows. It's acoustic, opening for this pop rock band. Yeah, let's do it. Flying to Minneapolis, then go to Milwaukee. Didn't get to do any of it because before we landed, the shows were canceled because somebody in the headliner's crew got COVID. So that's where we're at in that world. You know, you just never know. A friend of mine plays for Keith Urban, and Keith posted a bunch of tour dates, and there had to be 75 tour dates at least in the country. And I was like, fingers crossed those happen, because you just don't know. You just don't know. But yeah, I'm really, really happy with the lane that I'm in at the moment. And the goal is to widen it so more people can benefit. Is there a pattern or formula to those turnarounds, like 4 frets up from the root and go down back to root 1 chord? Not so much a formula, but if we take that one, you'll really essentially play 3 of the dominant 7 chords before you have to go to the triad. So 1, 2, 3. And although patterns are great, try to see that this is starting point, ending point. You just got to get from an E7 to an E. So always 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So to me, it seems like 3 chords, then you go to the root for sure. Oh, Jason Carter says, are there any backing tracks you'd recommend to accompany the course once we are up to speed with it? Any backing tracks you'd recommend to accompany the course? You know, that's a good question. You know, all of my courses are chock full of, I think, good and very usable backing tracks. But the best backing tracks are songs, you know. So once you finish a course like this or get through it, start to look, you know, that's why I broke it up into different styles, because you might hear something that sounds like, oh, that sounds like T-Bone Walker. Oh, that sounds like Jimmy Page. Oh, because then you can kind of gravitate towards that, and then it will be, look, we already played half of Black Dog in that example anyway, so that's a good backing track on its own, for sure. Who we got? You guys are spinning me. Yeah. What's your opinion of guitars with a Floyd Rose? Great question. Best thing about a Floyd Rose, once it's in, it's in. It's not going anywhere. I've had a few over my lifetime when I was in my hard rock phase, which was very short-lived. But I do like Floyds. I think they're cool. A good feeling one is pretty awesome, for sure. Let's see. Please explain modes. How much time do we have? You know, that's a good question. I love that. Beer Hounds, beer reviews. I'm not the best modal advisor. But what you should consider is really understanding not only your major scales, but understanding diatonic chord harmony too. Oh, don't want to scare you with that word. Knowing the chord scale, like C, D, E minor, like C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, or harmonized chord scale. And then there's, you know, a lot of divided camps about, well, it's a major scale starting on a different note. Well, it's a particular scale with this raised or this lowered as far as notes. But what I would consider is, if you're playing a song that's a pop song, a lot of major 7 stuff, that first mode is going to work really well. Now, for blues, do we need modes all that much? Well, sure, we can use the Mixolydian mode, but what I've found is that you can come from a modal approach, or you can come from an arpeggio/key center approach. And that's what I do. So again, long-winded conversation that we probably don't have time for today. But think about, to really understand modes, know your major scales, and then really for blues playing, you can use the Mixolydian mode, but I prefer arpeggios the arpeggio approach and what they call the key center approach. So there you go. How is it some of the greats have or had little to no theory? Well, we can make a lot of music with just a little bit of knowledge. And the great thing about some of the greats is that there was, in some cases, there were no models. You know, Hendrix was Hendrix because he just put everything he devoured and put it with that little seed of creativity. It could have been a fuzz pedal. It could have been a wah. It could have been sheer volume. And that helped him to propel his own sound. And of course, he wrote some trippy songs about, like, you know, castles made of sand and, you know, dragons and, you know, all that kind of stuff. You probably can't write those songs and get on, you know, you're on Spotify now or whatever. But, you know, it's not the same world it was then, and I've really realized that. But the greats with no theory is they took chances, and a lot of times it worked. Like, I don't know how much theory Paul McCartney knows, but his songs are so that it sounds like he does. And you don't need a whole lot of theory, but like anything, the more you understand your tool, the better you can build something. And that's the best way that I can say it. So experimentation, learn what this thing does, and most importantly, have fun. Because if you're not having fun, you're not going to be drawn to it. So that's what I try to do with my courses. Try to make them fun, try to answer some questions, seeds of theory, so they build upon one another. Theory also is like a foundation. You can't learn it all in a week, you know. So there you go. Yeah. There's that whole, like, learn it all and forget it jazz mentality. That is a true statement. You don't want to be inspired. You don't want to be thinking about theory while you're playing. My theory is all great players know theory. They may not be able to explain theory, but they played theory. That's a really good point, Tennessee Valley Yoga. Really, really good. Yeah, we got a few moments here. Anybody else? How would you arrange rhythm and soloing in your practicing schedule? That's a really good one. I'm actually kind of doing the same thing on a daily basis. And for instance, one of the things I'm practicing is a bunch of ways to approach chords, and I want to know them. Like, for instance, if I go from C major 7 to an A minor 7, I could do that. Or also, I could go. So I'm figuring out ways to dress up these chord changes as opposed to going to C major 7, A minor 7. So that's kind of my rhythm practice, right? And I'll work on that for 20 minutes to a half an hour in the morning with some coffee or tea or something. And then I'll also start to work on arpeggios. Maybe I want to play something that's kind of unique, like different. Like maybe I'm playing a G7, but I want to play a D minor 7 arpeggio over that. So you can superimpose different arpeggios over tops of chords. So I was doing a D minor 7 arpeggio, a B minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio. That's some of the stuff I work on too. Arpeggios I can't know enough because somebody might call out something. There might be a weird chord that I got to play over, and the arpeggio is always the answer. So that's another great thing that I practice as well. And I practice things like, you know, different kinds of scales, really try to see them in all keys. That's the big thing. So if I have a little concept, maybe like a G7 arpeggio, I make sure I do it in all keys. So right there, I just play through all 12 keys. Now, I know those already, so it's a little bit like I'm cheating, but that's what I will do as part of my practice, for sure. Acoustic approach, any different on this course? Other than the tone, not so much. You might not be able to, I don't think there's anything where like I'm really bending strings, but you'll benefit from the ninths, the sevenths, the ninths, the turnarounds, slow blues, everything really except for getting the tone from the hard rock stuff. But you could manipulate it like I showed earlier today in the stream. It's a good question. Let's see here. I know chord shapes and minor pentatonic shapes. Once you learn the theory, the major scale, and the basis of pretty much all theory, it makes sense. Can't disagree. And it definitely, major scales, you know, for the reason we work on pentatonics first is because it gets us to a finish line really quickly, and it's fun, you know, because you can play around in an A minor pentatonic scale all day over any A type of chord, maybe not major so much, but you know, A7 or an A power chord, it's going to sound really good. So that's good, gets us excited. But we need to know where all that stuff comes from. So I would say, you know, working on the major scale and understanding that's really important. The way I learned, this is me, I learned backwards, but I actually like it this way. When I learned A minor pentatonic, then my teacher said, well, there's this other thing called the blues scale. So I knew 5 notes, and all I had to learn was 1 more to add in there. So now I knew that, right? Then, instead of teaching me a major scale, he taught me a natural minor scale. Which is the 6th mode. So now over top in that one area, I have this entire thing, but I have almost chromatic. I have almost all the notes available in that 4 fret spot. Because what's cool, sometimes when you're playing a blues, maybe play a pentatonic riff, maybe a natural minor. So that's how I learned. Then he said, well, the A minor is a relative to C major. So everything you learn for A minor is C major. So then I went, oh, okay. So there you have it. So it's the same scale, just different notes to emphasize, which is kind of like modes. So what I thought was really cool one day, I was jamming with some friends at like a jam night or something, and they're playing like, you know, when you're down and confused, that song. And then when the organ comes in for the keys break, it goes A minor, G, F. So it's, you can play A minor pentatonic. Can't be with the one you love, honey, love the one you're with. Same spot. So I started to learn, wow, you can turn these notes on and off inside of the scale if you know where the heck you're at. So it takes time, and that's not always the fun part, practicing that stuff. It's not always fun, but you got to do it. More questions. Do you have a standard warm-up or practice routine you use every day? Well, I try to play every day, so that's kind of like, so my hands are always fresh, you know. And usually the scale practice of some type gets my hands going, or arpeggios, for sure. I knew you were going to highlight that one, Eric. No, I cannot do any Ingve. I never got into it's funny because I want to do an instrumental guitar record again, but it was just never, I wanted to be the guy that played when the singer stopped playing. And that music to me rarely had singers. I mean, he had, all the Shredder guys have singers do something at some point, but that's not what they're known for. And I just couldn't, I wanted to work and I wanted to make money playing guitar, and I couldn't do that learning that stuff. And it sucks because like I never really put time in on all that stuff, so I don't really know a bunch of it, you know. Let's see. Is that your Les Paul? I do remember seeing you with it before. Oh boy. Yeah, it's mine now. Thanks to my friends at Sweetwater. I only had to sell about 5 guitars to get this one, but I'm in the phase where I'm selling a bunch and trying to get ones I really, really like. So I got a couple great Gibsons, got a handful of nice PRSs, a couple Strats, and I know it looks like I have a lot, but when I do a session, like from my house or somewhere, like I know the difference between each Strat. Each one has different pickups. This one I'm taking to do a gig where I have to play some slide and some country rock, so it's going to be perfect for it, you know. So that's why I have the tools. Have you ever locked up on stage? You know, I don't think I ever have. I'm actually really good at fixing my own mistakes quickly and faking it if I don't know what I'm doing. so no. And most people don't know if you lock up when you lock up. So they're just happy to see you up there. So just enjoy being up there. Ever checked out the ESPs? ESPs are great, really good guitars. I'm not playing an acoustic, sorry, Lisa. This should apply to all resonator guitars. Sure, yeah, this stuff will apply on a resonator. Oh, Jason Carter traded his Casino. You can always get another one. You can always get another one of everything. Franu just said, it just sold 28 guitars to get 3 I really like. I see no problem with that at all. It's not about he who dies with the most toys. It's about who has the toys that enlighten them, for sure. EVH says, if you mess up, do it again and smile. Or do it again twice, it's jazz. I don't have 28 guitars, but I've had close to 20 before. And that's not a lot by most pros I know. You know, you go into some of these studio guys, they got guitars upon guitars. And they all have a purpose, which is great. Have you played with Tyler Larson? I would call you the PRS boys. Tyler definitely is. I have played with him at a NAMM show, and he was fun guy. And somebody asked the other day, like, there's a fella on my channel was kind of dogging the PRSs, and I understand, but like everybody has their opinion, right? But I probably won't fly with this, but I'll fly with my PRSs because I can pull them out any temperature. They sound really great. They stay in tune. And if something happens to them, my relationship with PRS is good enough to where I can say, hey, the headstock broke in a plane. Can you guys fix it? No trouble at all. They totally will. That doesn't happen. And it's great to have a relationship with a company like that. And they're interested in forging. They're not just interested in making, you know, the old stuff. Now, the cool thing about this Gibson is they got smart and they said, hey, we're just going to make guitars like we used to make them because that's what everybody wants. So once a certain president of the company left, it seemed like things started to get a lot more interesting there. And go to the Gibson Garage if you're in Nashville. It's really cool, for sure. Anybody else? Yes, tools of the trade, for sure. Haven't played with Orianthi. Maybe I'll run into her at Norman's Rare Guitars out in California. She seems to be there all the time with Richie Sambora. Casinos are great guitars. I got an old one. It's a killer guitar. Really fun. Yeah, so to wrap up, let's do a couple things. Let's make sure we understand that this Blues Rhythm By Yourself course is on sale until Saturday. Super, super low price, 92% off, I think that's it, guys. And I'm doing a contest to commemorate that as well, where you can enter to win a PRS SE Paul's guitar. So it's the SE version of Paul's guitar. Lots of different ways that you can enter to win that guitar. Really, really cool. And I have the guitar in my possession. I've done a few videos with it. It's a lot of fun. And guys, I've given away this will be the 4th guitar, 3 PRSs and a Martin. So we really, really do it, you know, and it's, we have great relationships with different people and companies and retailers that, you know, will give me a deal so I can get a guitar out to you guys. It's a lot of fun. We have a blast doing it. So we're hitting the 1 o'clock mark. I think we've covered just about everything we can. Make sure you take advantage of the links and jump into the site. And extremely huge thanks to the team here at YourGuitarSage. Thanks for having me on. And you know, hitting me up a year and a half ago and say, hey, do you want to do some courses? And I said, yeah, let's do it. And here we are, 4 courses later in less than 2 years. That's really good. So we've cranked it out, and I couldn't do that without the efficiency that this team has. They're really, really great. So keep supporting everybody involved with this, involved with the channel, and thank you so much for supporting me. Jump over to my YouTube channel, check out links, subscribe if you can, and hit the thumbs up on stuff you like. And be sure to comment on you know, videos that I put out. And also, I always give tabs and tracks away with those lessons. Lots of ways to stay in touch. I hope you do. All right, I appreciate it. Thanks so much to the folks here, and we're going to sign off. I'll see you on the next one.